Good evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome along to your Friday night rabble. Loads to talk about. Injuries, possibly new signings, B team getting thrown in the skip, and of course the mighty Fraserburgh travel to Ibrox on Sunday, and we've got our man from Fraserburgh in Fraserburgh to talk about Fraserburgh. That's a lot of Fraserburghs. AJ, how you doing?
Not too bad, Martin. Yourself? Good to see you guys. Good to be back in the Rabble. First time in a couple of months, I think. So good timing with the local team taking a wee trip to Ibrox this weekend. So
What's their nickname? Is it the Bra?
The Brock or the Bury.
The Bury.
The other one as well.
Well, let's hope Rangers bury them at the weekend. Oh, that's a terrible joke. That's shocking. That is absolutely shocking. Lewis, how are you?
I'm not bad. Obviously, just off the back, a wee deep dive into Man United there. So we're in to talk about Rangers this time.
I have to say, before I even go Ian with his green jumper on, right? Right, before I go Ian, what kind of hoodie is that? What did you knit that on yourself?
I've no idea. I literally just
I was talking to Lewis and his mad mental hoodie. Look at it.
I know. His looks all right compared to mine. I've only just that way. I just get out of the shower and you throw something on. Well, this was it, and that's what I've kind of got. But there we go. But if you're asking me how I am, I'm doing great, mate. Good to be on.
I never asked you how you were. I never even asked you.
I know you never do. You never do.
No, I'm not even. I'm only interested in Lewis and AJ.
Me too, by the way. So, it's good to be on with AJ. I remember being on with him a couple of times. It was a while ago, so it's good to see him back. And obviously, Lewis, I've been on with a lot, and it's always nice to hear his opinions on things. And as you say, there's lots to talk about. So let's crack on.
On time. What is this witchcraft? Well, I knew that you would just moan, London, if I wasn't on time. So it's all because of you. It's all because of you. Can we get out of the obligation to buy Cortes? Michael, we'll come on to that, my friend. I promise you, we will come on and touch on that.
The word obligation
might be the key word in that.
It's a painful one, isn't it? It's a very, very painful one. Let's hope, is it Lens is his parent club? Buy us out like Bayern Munich did. They see the potential the boys got and they go, we don't want to get rid of him, which I've highly doubt. But anyway, hello everybody watching. Please like, share and subscribe and all that good stuff and follow us on all the socials. Get your comments in. I'm hoping, with it being a Friday night, that it's going to be a wee busy show. I've got a nice 10-hour day tomorrow to head to Peterhead. He does. I mean, somebody actually put in the comments, is that Ian coming out on the Rabble?
Is that what it was? But I didn't quite get it. So I just highlighted that one. I thought that was quite good. Yeah.
That's a woman's tap.
Brilliant.
Is that, did you go into the rang dresser?
Do you know, I might have done. It wouldn't be the first time the wife stuff's ended up in my drawers, you know what I mean? So
I hope I genuinely hope that's not true. I will double check it, but our very own Craig has some sad news.
Oh wow!
Just announced the death of Manchester United legend Dennis Law. I sincerely hope that's not true. If it is, condolences obviously to
very much
anybody affiliated with Dennis, a proper Scottish legend.
Absolutely.
And also relegated Manchester United, which is a highlight for me. Sorry, Lewis.
That's true, by the way. Just to confirm.
That's right. Was it not? He relegated Manchester United with his goal for Man City.
Man City. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
One of the greatest moments in English football history, it has to be said. Can I say a big hello to Janet? Hi, new to the pod. Just love talking everything Rangers. We try our best, Janet. We do something. I mean, it's called the Rabble for a reason. But we do talk mainly Rangers. Right, let's get in here then. Ian, I'll come to you first. It's something that I don't think is a massive surprise. I'm not 100% sure around everything surrounding it. It's not that the B team has been thrown in the scrap heap, so to speak, but it's not. They're not playing games. They come out the Lowland League. They're playing like 2.5 games a year now. Obviously, Baylor Rice moved up to the first team. Chucking out as many people on loan as they can. Just not a good time for the Rangers B team.
It's not. But I think we can all agree the status quo hasn't really worked, right? Because we've had too many promising Scottish youth players go in there, and I think I said in the WhatsApp group today, they've stagnated and they come out the other end crestfallen, Martin, and certainly don't fulfil the promise that they came in with. I mean, there's a lot of examples. So Zach Lovelace came up here with a really big reputation, highly rated at Millwall, and his career's not kicked on. Now, some of that will be our doing, and some of that will be what Zach Lovelace can and can't do. But I understand. I'm starting to agree with more when we're seeing a lot of these B team players like Cole McKinnon, Robbie Fraser going out on loan. I think that, to me, looks like a better idea of how to get these guys some first team football, because setting up select games in the B team isn't really working. You know what I mean? So these guys need some sort of structure to understand what it means to play full-time football in a competitive league, and setting up games, albeit against clubs from Europe or Celtic or whatever it may be. It doesn't seem to be having the desired effect. Having said that, and another good example was the recent insurgence of Clinton Nsiala has been fantastic, and I think I mentioned we're all chatting about it today, and it prompted quite a big debate. The progress he's made from his first game to his third game has been quite amazing, quite profound. I mean, he's actually you can see the rawness in the boy. Don't get me wrong, who incidentally turns 21 today. Happy birthday, big man, and all that stuff. But you can see what he's learned in the 3 games that he's had from us. But what's more important on Clinton Nsiala, Martin? It'd be interesting to hear the boys' take on this as well. He hadn't shown anything, and you've gone and seen the B team. He hadn't shown anything in the B team, and in actual fact, if you remember, he gets sent off against Queen's Park for punching a player.
I was there.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone has moments like that, but no one had actually said, in fact, the manager's own words, not that long ago said, he's not ready. He's not ready to step up. Now, as it turns out, so far, and it is early days, I've got to stress, it looks like he is. He's certainly a lot more ready than the manager gave him credit for. So how much of that sits with the manager, how much of that sits with Clinton Nsiala, is probably in the middle somewhere. But what I would ask, and what it makes me think about, Martin, have we missed a trick? So who else in that youth setup with better players around them would rise to the occasion? Now, I don't watch enough of the B team to know the answer to that. There's every chance it might be none of them. But if we're to take a learning from Clinton Nsiala, it may be that there's other players in that team, Bailey Rice, Zach Lovelace, Robbie Fraser, that could potentially sitting around, being around other players and featuring in games like Fraserburgh on Sunday could rise to the occasion and show that these players that they're worth having a look at.
Well, you could add Cole McKinnon, Archie Stevens.
Oh, I've got a list.
Zach Lovelace.
Adam
you could add Paul and Seal into there. Mason Munn, the goalkeeper. A very, very good goalkeeper, by the way, and could, in my opinion, and for what my opinion's worth, go on to be a Rangers number 1. I think,
to be realistic about it, Martin, I think we have to pick. Surely we're in a position where we can pick the very best of who we think is the very best of our youth, and then 2 or 3 of them only, because what's been evident this year, our lack of Scottish players. Finlay Curtis, our lack of Scottish players. It's been no surprise that going away from home we've been terrible. And why is that? Because it's a right culture shock to go to Easter Road, Fir Park, St Mirren, and roll your sleeves up and understand the nature. You find out all about Scottish football when you play away from home. Yeah, it's not the same as playing at Ibrox.
No.
So to me, the lack of Scottish players and that little bit of knowledge would make a difference. So why aren't we developing them? Why aren't we developing? And if we're to write off this season, and if we're truly doing a rebuild as we're meant to be doing, then these guys, if the league's gone, which it absolutely has, Celtic are too far ahead. Why aren't these Scottish players getting a look in? And why aren't the better ones getting some chances to prove that they can? The only one, I think AJ made a really good point earlier in our WhatsApp group. The only one that Clermont's kind of leaned into has been Ross McCausland. And maybe what Ross McCausland's done or not done has influenced his decision on the rest of the B team. I don't know, but certainly There's a few guys in there are worth looking at, and when will we get a better time to look at them if we can't look at them now? You know,
Sorry,
right? You can talk. You can talk now.
No, I just hurt my finger. I hurt my finger on an empty bottle of water. How's that possible? I mean, AJ, look, it's no it's no real surprise that we're sitting here discussing the B team and how it just doesn't seem to be working. We've been discussing this since time immemorial, to be honest with you, AJ, and pulling out the Lowland League. I think we also, though, we also have to take a look at Scottish football in general and say why these things aren't working, AJ, because there's no reserve league, there's no under 23s, there's no under 21. See, after under 18s, AJ, where did the Rangers players go?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And Ian touched on some good points there. There's no point having a B team if they're not going to play competitive football. Because we're looking for you to make the step up to the first team and play week in, week out competitive football. The Lowland League, I know we did that for a couple of seasons, but you're speaking 4 divisions below, playing against, well, not even sure you can call some of them part-timers at that point. You're just playing against your everyday person there, so you're not getting a challenge there. But yeah, McCausland seems to be the only one that's got that step up. He seemed to get quite a lengthy run in the team. I think maybe the first couple of games he showed a bit of promise. He quickly got very frustrating, yet he was still on the team sheet every week. And maybe Ian's right. Maybe Clements looked at that and went, well, there's no talent in this B team. But McCausland certainly wasn't the name. And I'm like you, Ian, I don't keep up enough with the B team, as in watching them. I'll keep up with what's going on. But it was, Bailey Rice is a name always heard about Rice. And he's got 2 chances. I'm not sure if he's even 2 sub-appearances under Clement or something like that. But, I mean, I can see why they're scrapping the B team. But you're right, Martin, it's a problem in Scottish football in general. Why is there no B League? Why is there no under 23s? It's detrimental to the Scottish game overall, detrimental to the national team, but we're not giving these young players a chance.
No, and the SFA don't really seem to care, Lewis, to be brutally honest with you. Otherwise, there would have been something done by now. But I'm not sure that they've said they're scrapping the B team, although it certainly feels like that, Lewis, to be brutally honest. But the question then remains, if you're in the Rangers under 18s team, and then you become, then the following year, you're too old to play for the 18s. If you can't find a loan, where do you go?
Do you know, I remember about a year ago on the podcast, we done a podcast specifically about this, and we've done a bit of a deep dive into the issues that pertain to Scottish football and the youth system in this country. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. It doesn't help the youth at all. There's nothing for them. There's absolutely nothing for them. Clubs are too concerned with getting their own views across, and I understand that's how football works in general. It's it's a selfish game, but it just a bit of organisation, a bit of communication between the clubs, and something that could have been arranged that would have helped everybody in the long term. The likes of. I thought that was a really good idea when we introduced the B team into the Lowland League. I thought that was a really good idea, but the problem was it was only 3 clubs that got the opportunity to do that. And that's where the problem started to arise, because it was only Hearts, Rangers and Celtic that could get that opportunity. If you look across Europe and you look at, the top 5 leagues and even the likes of the Portuguese league as well, they have an under 23s league as well as allowing their B team to enter in at some point in the domestic league system. I think in Spain, it's Real Madrid, Castilla and Barcelona B. They're allowed to play as high as the Segunda division, and that's why they have the 2 best youth setups on the planet, because their league realise, right, we've got these 2 massive clubs that generate all our funding. So what we're going to do is we're going to give them the opportunity to produce the best talent in the country, and in the long term that helps football in that country. That's why the league is the way it is. That's why the Premier League's the way it is, League One, so on and so forth. And seeing leagues like ours youth is given a chance more in general because they can't do that. So if the SPL sit and go, right, that's just unrealistic in Scottish football, well, then the clubs need to start taking a look at themselves. Rangers and Celtic, namely, of introducing youth more often. There's absolutely no need. Why are Celtic not introducing more youth this year? Like, why? Why do they consist with playing their best team every single week when they're 20 points clear? And that's been a problem for Celtic for 2 decades. Rangers had the chance to bleed in so much youth when we were in the dregs, and we never done it. Anybody that had a bit of potential was just gone. Barry Mackay, for example, he should have been in the Rangers team for well into our seasons in the Premier League, and instead he was sold for what? What was it, like 500 grand, 250 grand or something? Barry Mackay was sold for?
Something measly, aye.
Down south, yeah.
I mean, it's the clubs need to take a look at themselves, but so do the league. The league just does to help anybody, and it's just a vicious cycle. It's never ever going to be sorted. And there's too many things to discuss. There's too many problems. It's a palaver.
Well, Ian, Lewis mentions there about, and it's a different league, right? But Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever, able to put their youth teams into the leagues and be able and focus heavily on youth. Spain won World Cups. Spain won European Championships. Go in the past, did Italy, France, Brazil, which is massive on youth development. It's no surprise that the countries that really focus and put emphasis on youth development, their international teams do well.
Yeah, they do. I mean, don't get me wrong. We are comparing. You're fundamentally right in what you're saying, but we are comparing a wee bit apples and oranges when we compare ourselves with Spain. That's a population of 5.5 million versus 60 million. It's a wee bit different. But Lewis gave a really good example a minute ago in Portugal. Portugal's population is only 7.7 million. It's not so far away from ours, and the strength and depth in Portugal is unbelievable. I've got a friend that is a season ticket holder at Benfica, and see the amount of youth players over the years that we've been friends that have found their way all around Europe has been incredible. But solution, what is the solution? So other than at the moment, we all agree, and Rangers have obviously agreed, that the status quo is not working with these youth players. They're stalling. They're stammering. They're not getting into the first team. So it's a little bit of our fault. It's a little bit of the SFA, the Scottish setup's fault. But a solution, what would a solution look like? So would it look good if we had a Rangers B and a Celtic B and an Aberdeen B that could represent themselves in the Championship? Yeah, would that?
See on that very point, Ian. Right, just quickly on that very point. I think you would probably have to. Which should be done anyway, right?
Yeah.
I think you would probably have to restructure the league system in Scottish football. The way that the league system is, for the amount of clubs that we've actually got, is ridiculous. We shouldn't have 4 leagues in Scotland. It just shouldn't be happening.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I absolutely agree with that. But it's a real political hot potato to try and tell clubs that they're not going to be professional clubs anymore. Or I know what you mean. You can condense them into 2 big leagues or whatever. Yeah. But
Yeah, but then you won't get your 4 Old Firm games a season, which Scottish football says it desperately needs.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, we've got a rare opportunity in the likes of Sunday, and I know we'll come on to the Broch or the Fraserburgh or whatever they're called. AJ is on about on Sunday, but that's a great opportunity. If Bailey Rice isn't starting, Nsiala, other players that have been sitting knocking on the door of the first team, we're so to believe. Then there's a real failure somewhere. We can actually listen. You've always got to protect them. It's the Scottish Cup. It's the last competition that we're in this year. So we have this. We have to go through. But you know what it's like. You can have your experienced players sitting on the bench, but with all due respect to Fraserburgh, I'm sure they're a great team with a proud history. I mean, they're sitting 9th in the Highland League. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the truth is, our youth players or fringe players at Ibrox should see these guys off quite comfortably, and that's no disrespect to Fraser, but it's just a fact of life, Yeah,
listen, they're happy to come and show up, play their hearts out, and take the money that they're going to get.
And I actually feel for them, Mark. That's a really good point, because of the nature of how far Rangers are off behind Celtic at the moment. These guys won't get the payday that they probably deserve, because the attendance may not be what it would have been had this season been more competitive for us. So I feel a wee bit for them because you always like to see the lower league teams get a payday in a Scottish Cup, get some decent gate money. And it would appear that might not, certainly won't be maximised for Fraserburgh as it would have been, say, for example, the 55 season. There'd have been more fans at that game had we drawn them then. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly a chance for us to get the boys, the youth players in front of all the fans at Ibrox, the ones that are there, and give them, I would be starting them, because it's another one. I think we had a debate on the WhatsApp group as well. Well, what we should do is secure some of these games and then bring the youth players on with 10, 15 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. Lewis will tell you, if you play football, you don't see the best. You don't see the best of a player if you're giving them the last 10 minutes. Look at the nonsense, Leon King. Now, Leon King might not have what it takes to be a regular footballer at Rangers Football Club, yeah? He's on decent money, incidentally, which was another conversation for another day as to how that happened with that contract. But he get thrown into the mire at the last 10, 15 minutes at Easter Road. What are we expecting there? What are we expecting? We're expecting a disaster. To be honest, you can't expect him to stay up. But I mean, don't be wrong. In some instances, I'm sure some of these players could, but we need these players to start. And if they don't start on Sunday, I'll be amazed.
I'll be brutally honest with you, right? I think it's shocking the way that certain Rangers fans have spoke about Leon King.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, he get thrown in to Champions League games against the likes of Mohamed Salah, right? One of, if not the best player in the world the last few years, right? And it wasn't just Leon King that get his arse handed to him. That full Rangers team did, right? And then what was he given? What, a short period of time to be in the team and then told, all right, he's not good enough. But if we spend $4 million on a player, they'll get 2 years if they're not good enough.
Yeah.
To try and look at Borna Barisic, 18 months he got to show us some kind of form because we paid a fee for him. But all of a sudden, Leon King's not good enough because he's came through the ranks. It baffles my brain.
See, just to piggyback after, the 2 points you made there, I think, I was trying to convey it in the last wee point for myself there about the youth and how Celtic and Rangers need to take a real hard look at themselves, because we are so far ahead of everybody else in this country. You will rarely find such a gap between a team and the rest of its league and there is in Rangers and Celtic, despite that the league table this season. Rangers are miles clear of everybody else, and Celtic are infinitely miles clear and everybody else. So we should have a duty to try and bleed as much youth as possible. Because see, if you look at these other leagues, like I mentioned, see the Spanish national team, you would be probably looking at 60% of that as production of Real Madrid and Barcelona's youth system, because they're the two biggest clubs in that nation. So they have a duty to produce a certain amount of talent. If you look at that Scottish national team, I'm telling you, it's less than 30% that has been produced by Rangers and Celtic. Definitely less. I mean, well, John McGinn, what was he? Hibs or St Mirren?
Hibs, I think. John McGinn, wasn't he? Hibs.
Yeah.
And Andy Robertson might have been in the Celtic Youth
Queen's
Academy, get released, ends up at Queen's Park.
Right. Yep.
I mean, the only two I can think of, Nathan Patterson and Billy Gilmore are Rangers. Other than that, anybody else?
Callum McGregor's retired now, isn't he?
Callum
But
McGregor.
yeah, I mean, bar that, it's all players for down south now, isn't it? It's your Scott McTominay's who was brought through Manchester United.
See, just to play devil's advocate, a little bit of that is they're tying these guys up on contracts now, pre-contracts, Lewis, at like 15 and 16. So, so what they do is they jump down south for a better deal. There's a bit of that on that.
Well, that's what Gilmore done, wasn't it? That's what Gilmore done.
Yeah. There is certainly a bit of that, but I don't know if he's ever heard Andy Halliday talking about Billy Gilmore. And he said that, according to him, Billy Gilmore, if there was an offer from Rangers to be a consistent member of that first team, he would never have went to Chelsea at that age, and he would have played men's first team football at 16 instead of going down to Chelsea. And listen, he's a different example because he's an exceptional talent for the Scottish League. Like, he's the leagues above a lot of players that we've seen, so he's a different type of case. But somebody like Lennon Miller, he's probably not going to go to the Old Firm now because we've stalled too much, too long to wait and get a boy like that. That's gone now. Unless Celtic are playing over £10 million. He's gone down south, and that's another one gone.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
that's a good
listen.
example.
Youth football for me is, I take it pretty serious because obviously, as most people know who watch this, you know, my little brother, he's at Dundee United.
Yeah.
He's only 19, snapped his ankle, came back, got a loan out at Colts to get his fitness back. But he's in that age now where he's too old to play for the under 18s. There's a reserve game once every what seems like 4 months. So where does he go in
Yeah.
between? But so he's not going to get into the first team at Dundee United. He was out injured for almost a year. So where does he go? Luckily, he's got a wee loan to Peterborough for 6 months. Peterhead. That's a bit of a jaunt. So is Peterhead, to be fair.
I was going to say that's about the same.
He's lucky he's got himself a loan to Peterhead. But then at the end of that 6 months, if Dundee United don't want to keep him, he's got nowhere to go. He's got absolutely nowhere to go because there's no reserve league. So that's why I take it. I take the youth stuff obviously really, really serious. Smudge has gifted 5 Rangers Rabble memberships. Thank you very much, Smudge. And I hope all the members are very happy with the content that they are now getting, with all the extra stuff that we're now putting on. And then come February the 3rd, it's getting elevated even more. Just finally, AJ, on the youth stuff, Kelso Yabas, right? Rangers are spending 45 million a year on our academy, very little in return. Well, AJ, whose fault is that? You know, if Rangers are spending that amount on the academy and not bringing through any players, you know, surely Rangers have got to take some of the blame for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a Rangers issue. What is the point at 45 million? We're not giving chances. Certainly the likes of Gilmore. If you're a young, talented lad, you're not going to want to stay here. You've got to look at this and go, well, no one's getting an opportunity. I'm not getting an opportunity. I'd be jumping at the first Premier League club it came in for me as well. There's no reason we can't be giving these guys a chance. Guys like Lovelace, guys like King, who I absolutely agree, King got thrown in the deep end and he's been made a scapegoat for a whole team's poor performance against Liverpool.
Well, AJ, just sorry to interrupt you. The fact that, and it's looked like a good decision, but the fact that they brought in Ciala out for the cold and King was nowhere near the team.
Yeah, it just shows he's been frozen out and he's obviously not in Clement's plans. Obviously, don't see what goes on training at all. If there's a reason Clement's decided he's not good enough, but they're just not getting chances at all. These guys we're playing Dundees, we're playing St Mirrens. They would be playing against talent that are below their level or at their level. There's no reason we can't. And it was touched on earlier, Celtic do the exact same. They're flying in this league last few seasons, and before we was working our way back up, and they're not giving chances, and it's hurting the game in general. But a big problem with that again is the league structure as well. But they're never going to change away from this 12-team structure because it gets 4 Old Firms a season. That's the only thing Sky care about.
Oh yeah. And by the way, Rangers are charging £21 a ticket for this Fraserburgh game. By the way, £21 a ticket apparently, which is ridiculous. That's because they knew that the attendance was going to be down and are trying to make a bit of money back on it, which I think is absolutely scandalous. Absolutely scandalous.
Yeah, there's been £68 for a family of 4 tomorrow. Sunday.
Yeah. It's poor, especially how bad the season's gone, Martin.
Yeah.
Speaking of gone, Martin's just gone. There you go. But
this is a perfect game where people can take their kids along for the first game and not worry about having to leave after 20 minutes of course, and spend a fortune on it. So 70 quid.
It's a wee bit of an earlier kick-off. So the family can, 2:15 kick off. The family will be a wee bit more settled at night. It's ideal for lots of things. You're absolutely right. And Rangers had the chance, and they know full well it won't even be half attendance, maybe. So why would you not have a more fuller stadium and half the price of the tickets?
Absolutely. Right, well, let's move on to the game then on Sunday, Ian. We'll have a quick chat about that before we talk transfers. I want to take a wee bit of a deeper dive into Insiala and Igaman as well. And a wee bit, we'll get on to that. But Ian, the game on Sunday, I'll come to you, AJ, in a wee minute for the lowdown on Fraserburgh. So I hope you've
Local knowledge.
I hope you've got your scouting done on your local team. And please make sure, by the way, that you do like, share, and subscribe to the podcast as well. In fact, I'll throw up the greatest graphic ever made. Boom. There you go. Rangers Rabble, 12.6 thousand subscribers. Make sure that you are subscribed. And James Allen has become a member on YouTube. So thank you very much, James. So yeah, Ian, we've kind of discussed it.
We kind of covered it.
The game on Sunday should be a game where loads of people can take their kids maybe to their first games. It's obviously not going to be a full Ibrox if Rangers aren't charging so much for tickets. But in terms of starting lineups on Sunday, somebody said to me, I might have been Lewis. I don't know if it was Lewis. I could be just throwing Lewis under the bus here. That they want to see as much of the first team players in as possible, and especially Igaman bag some goals, but a bit more confidence. For me, I would like to see quite a lot of rotational changes made.
Yeah, me too. Especially when you've got Old Trafford on the horizon and the like. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that your top guys are all ready to do it, because I mean, I can't think past that Old Trafford game just now. And me and Lewis and all that have been talking about, how good would it be? We know what Igaman could do. We've seen him do it in Nice. We've seen him do it against Tottenham. If he goes down to Old Trafford and scores a couple of goals, I think we'll struggle to hold on to him at the end of January, because someone will come in with typical Premier League money, which isn't a crazy bid for them, but it's a crazy amount of money for us. But I digress. Do I think the team should be? I think the way I would some key personnel in there, Martin. I would have maybe 5 or 6 senior players surrounded by squad players with a bit of a backup on the bench. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I would approach that. To be fair, maybe does Leon Balogun need some more minutes in his legs before Old Trafford? No. Did you leave him on the bench? Yeah. Insiala,
I wouldn't even have him in the squad.
Yeah, maybe not, because he's 36, 37 now. I mean, look at he came on against Aberdeen, stopped a goal, headed, hit the post, and then scored. Outstanding. So yeah, I mean, I think, would you start Insiala maybe?
Yes.
Still? Yeah. Yes. I think I would.
Well, he can't play on Thursday.
Oh no, I can't play. Yeah, that's right. I watched a podcast earlier in the week that were making quite a professional one, that were making the assumption that he was playing. So that was quite.
Doesn't
funny.
Always pay to be professional.
Yeah, I know. That's why I then put in the group chat, I was like, Insiala valid for this game? Everybody's like, don't think so, But yeah, to me, it has to be a sprinkling of first team players to make sure that the nuance of the team and the players that are fringe players and youth players feel fairly settled fairly quickly. And if we go 2 or 3 goals up in the first 45 minutes, then even the senior players at that point, I would be looking to pull them off and get the fringe players on and get them some minutes. To be fair, that's certainly how I would approach the game, and I'd be surprised if Philippe Clement doesn't approach it like that as well. To be fair,
yeah. When I say mostly rotational changes, Lewis, I'm also adding the likes of Connor Barron in there, who's not got a lot of minutes in the legs, albeit he's in the first team squad. A lot of us are talking about. Loads of people would like to see 11 youth players in there, but the likes of Connor Barron, I'd want him in. If Jack Butland could come back, I don't think he will. The manager kind of said that in his press conference. I would have Butland in just for a bit of match sharpness and stuff like that. Maybe that's about it. Actually, the rest could be youth.
I mean, I'm not the greatest person to come to, because my football manager brain tells me that there should be 11 changes here. Like this, like Ian said, I mean, this is a team, no disrespect to Fraserburgh, but they are light years behind even their under 17 side, never mind the first team. There should be absolutely, I wouldn't start anybody that has a chance of starting against Man United. Yeah. I don't think it's necessary. You can have a Ross McCausland, you could have a Connor Barron, you could have a Cyril Dessers, and then everybody else should be youth. every single other player should be
Maybe
good.
Nsiala, maybe. Yeah.
Nsiala, because he can't play. But
So-
other than that,
This isn't Fraserburgh's first crack at Rangers this season. They've already played the B team in the SPFL Trust Trophy, and the B team beat them 5-0. So
I mean, there you go.
it's,
Have they improved since then, AJ? The old Brock.
this season's been a bit of a dodgy one. Not been losing many games, to be honest, but it seems to be, I think, 9 draws in the league so far, sitting 9th. But
Yeah.
this year, the Brock's been relying on playing youth players, bringing them up. I'll never catch on, eh?
AJ, I find that Highland League's quite a physical league. So they all like you up there,
Absolutely.
6'2" and built outside their house. Are they going to come and have a go?
Just about, yeah. Aye. Nah, there's a few young, small lads coming through that team this year. That's probably what's proven difficult
Yeah.
up against 11 6-foot-odd lads. So in terms of quality of the opposition, it's nothing this B team hasn't been up against this season. I certainly wouldn't want the B team to start. I'd be wanting to see some of these B team players get a chance again, like you said, a few key personnel, get them involved in playing the Rangers first team way, whatever that way is, because it's hard to understand this year. But give them a chance. Again, if your likes of Rice and Lovelace have brilliant games, I know it means next to nothing in terms of who you're up against, but that's given them that opportunity at Ibrox and amongst some first team players, and then take it from there. If anyone's having a good game there on Sunday, they should be getting involved in some of these league games against your Dundees, your Dundee Uniteds and that, and getting some minutes in after that.
I mean, can we come back to it again, Ian, actually? I probably shouldn't. I should just leave it at that. I should have just left it at what I said and moved on, right? But I'm actually a wee bit, I say a wee bit annoyed. It's not like me. I usually keep my cool. I genuinely can't believe what Rangers are charging for this game, Ian.
It's not good. It's not good, especially as to how far we are off the pace in the league. So you're kind of thinking, look, read the room, Rangers. The fans are not in great shape. There was lots of spaces still against Aberdeen. There was lots of spaces in the last game at Ibrox before that. So they really should have thought about, look, we know things aren't great. Let's open this up a wee bit. And more importantly, because we have been starved of success for so long, Martin, you kind of want, this is another opportunity whereby people can bring the younger members of their family and let them understand and find out a bit, spend some time in the Emerson Club, go through the museum tour, do all those bits, because they don't realise that if they reduce the ticket price, there's a much greater chance they'll buy some merchandise in the Edmondson House. They'll go and do the museum tour, and they'll understand a bit about the history of Rangers when we used to win things. You know what I mean? And then go and enjoy the game, because let's be honest, there should be a few goals. So I think you're not wrong to bring it up and kind of parting on about it, because I think we've genuinely missed a trick there.
Yeah, 100% we have. 100%. Right, let's move on, Lewis. Unfortunately, we have to talk about this again. It is the title of the show. Danilo and Cortes out again. We don't know how long for, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's 2 years, whether it's 20 years. The only thing that matters is, Lewis, is that yet again, £10 million worth of talent is sitting on the injury table.
I'm starting to think like somebody has just
Strap yourself in, folks. Lewis is thinking.
No, it's just that there must be like a voodoo spell on this football club for like the last 6 years. There's players come here with like a fully clean slate in terms of health, and then end up. Well, you mean Tom Lawrence, for example, right? I mean, the 2 seasons prior to that, he's a guy that's contributing like 15 goals a season for Derby County, and he comes here and he's had like 3 major injuries. Yanis Hadji, never really injured before that, major injury. Niko Katic, again, never really injured before that, major injury. And it's not just that as well. It's the scouting department not being able to analyse that this is cropping up. Like Kamar Ruth was an understandable risk to take,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
also should have been a deterrent going forward
Yeah.
to steer clear of this. And it's just we've not done it. We've still taking risks on these guys, and it's just not paying off at all. Like we're getting more losses than wins in that department. And Cortes is a difficult one because
Yeah.
the majority of his career was youth football. I think he'd played like 4 games for Lens, so it's
Yeah.
hard to figure out if his injury record is going to end up like that. But Tom Lawrence, prime example. As soon as that secondary injury after the long-term injury, we should have realised, right, we need to kind of get up in this guy. Ryan Jack's another one. I mean, Ryan Jack only played consistently maybe 18 to 25 games
Yeah.
a year for Rangers. At signings like that, like it just sometimes availability is the best thing in football. Sometimes that's just all you need is somebody that's consistent.
Availability beats talent, Lewis. Is that what you're saying? If
In
talent's never
some
fit?
cases, and if talent's never fit, definitely.
Well, listen, when James Tavernier and Conor Golson were at the height of their powers, these guys never missed a game for a period
Never.
of 2.5 years. Yeah. And that was both consistency and talent, and they were our best players.
Well, Mike was asking, Ian, are we perhaps signing players who aren't quite robust enough for
That
our
is a
league?
really good question that we should do a podcast about, by the way, because Lewis made a really good statement about Tom Lawrence and some players that weren't particularly injury prone before they came to our club. What I would say about Danilo is whether Danilo's good enough to be our £6 million main striker, because we expect Igaman at some point in the next 12 to 18 months will get sold, remains to be seen, because the jury's still out. I sounded like a bit of a grump in our group when I said I wasn't particularly impressed with Danilo against Aberdeen. I thought the chance that he missed was different. Again, if he played up front, was different from Igaman. Igaman's angle was tighter with the keeper. Danilo could have had a bit more space and time to dink it past the Aberdeen keeper. I'm not. For me, the this £6 million price tag is maybe playing into my mind too much. But to me, I think the jury's kind of still out on him. But if we look closely at his time at Feyenoord, as much as he appeared 27 or 28 times in his season prior to coming to us, only 8 or 9 of them were starts, Martin, right? So there's a great point. This I'm talking about making that podcast about are our players robust enough? So what then happens is you try and give these players now. Danilo again, he has been unlucky, fractured cheekbone, all that. Now, that's got nothing to do with whether your body's kind of good enough. But when I saw him rolling again against Aberdeen, I thought, oh, God, here we go. Maybe this guy isn't particularly robust enough, because he's not really done a full season that I can see. The guys in the comments might tell me otherwise. But I'm talking about, we need players that can start and finish games consistently right throughout a season. And a lot of them hadn't done that prior to coming to here. So there is a conversation to be had. Are some of the players we have robust? Cortes is a different one, though, as Lewis points out. Cortes' only football was youth football. Where I would criticise the Cortes deal, Martin, is what I would say is the guy hadn't proved anything at a decent level for us to then agree a £4 million fee at the end of the season. That's where I would have issue with that. Now, it may well turn out to be that we've signed this guy on promise, but £4 million for us is a lot of money. And we've basically taken that on the basis of one of our scouts reckon that he's going to be worth that. So I would question the sanity of that deal a little bit, because he's not. If you look at his professional games, as Lewis correctly pointed out, there's nothing to look at. No,
and by the way, sanity and the Rangers scouting system are two words that don't belong in the same sentence. And Gaza Buck points out, Dessers is always fit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Say what you want about the man, he's always fit.
And his goal against Aberdeen was the pick of the bunch.
That was a quality goal. But
we know he's mother. We know he's mother.
Yeah. Jim Sloan, massive super chat. Thank you very much, Jim. Massive supporter of the channel. And if you are on our Discord, you will know that Ian, not that Ian, different Ian, is making everybody their individual wrestlers, and there's going to be a big show about it. It's going to be live, and I think it's going to be like a big Royal Rumble or something. You'll forgive me, my wrestling terminology is not quite up there. I know AJ is a big fan; he'll know what I'm talking about. But Martin, I'm looking for a wrestling pants. I'm looking for wrestling pants. Does the Rabble still do merch? I'm sure Donald could sort you out, Jim, with whatever you want. Donald will be able to sort that out, my friend. And thank you very much for your support. I mean, AJ, just come back to these injuries for a second.
Yeah.
Are we looking at these two more harshly, just simply because of the money that they both cost? And we haven't even paid for Cortes yet.
Yeah, I mean, you are going to account that you're going to compare them different. If we took a player in for $6 million, he comes with a price tag. But just touching on Cortes as well, what baffles me is, like Lewis correctly pointed out, this boy didn't have great experience of senior football, played 4 games, I think you said, Lewis.
Yeah.
Why are we scouting development leagues over there and going, oh yeah, you could come and play for Rangers, but if they play well in development games for us, we go, no, you can't get a chance. Why are we happy to agree to pay $4 million for someone that hasn't proven it at the level?
That's a great point.
But the ones that can prove it at youth football here, we can't try you. But on the injuries, I think looking at Danilo's injury record, he seemed to have a bit of an injury record at Ajax previously.
Feyenoord.
Aye, sorry.
Yeah.
Close. I'm in the right country.
I'm in the right country.
And AJ,
No,
you're right.
It
was niggly injuries. It was
Yeah.
ones that he would play for 2 or 3 games, then be out for 2 or
Yes.
3 games, and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But it does big. It's weird. Under Gerrard, it seemed we just had a clean bill of health. Obviously, we was taking that magic coffees, as some reported. But we never seem to have an injury, and it seemed to have changed. Now, it seems to be a bit of both. There is what guys were taking in. It just seems to go from playing for their previous clubs all the time to not being fit for us. So it just begs the question, is something happening, training, medically, or that? But we are shooting ourselves in the foot by buying players for $6 million is a lot of money for us now. That's our biggest signing must be in quite a number of years.
Biggest since Flo, isn't it? Well, actually, no, Kent was 7, wasn't he? So Kent was $1 million dearer. Yeah.
So we're taking big risks on players that, I mean, I don't think he quite had the scoring record. He'd certainly been scoring some goals in one season, but he carried a bit of an injury record as well. It's not working out. And I don't know whose comment it was, but they said, he looked good before his injury, the best is to come. But we keep saying that with Danilo, and he keeps coming back, and he keeps getting injured. At what point
how
do
long,
we just
AJ? Exactly what you're about to say. Yeah, how long do we keep going with that, AJ? You know what I mean? He'll get better, and he's consistently injured. Lewis, I did see a comment that I wanted to bring up now. This isn't just for Rangers, this is for every single team in the league. Every single team in Scotland, to be brutally honest with you, because it doesn't matter what level it is. The referees in this country offer absolutely zero protection. Zero protection. Now, I'm not saying that the referees, I don't want it to be like England. And we discussed it earlier with the likes of Bruno Fernandes, who you blow on him and he falls down and he gets a free kick. Or Graham Shinney at Aberdeen. He's a really bad example for any young player, because all he does is fall on his arse and then gets up greeting. But in the main, the referees, how many tackles have we seen just this season alone where the referees don't even give a free kick, or it goes back to VAR and it's waved away? The referees offer players in Scotland, every club, every player, no protection.
No, they certainly don't. I mean, there's even examples as recent as our last game. I mean, Yanis Hadji got fouled about 4 times, and even in half of the fouls, they didn't go our way. They're just sort of, the quality's so poor. It's not even like there's an agenda against. It's just poor quality officiating. They're just so below what is necessary for for professional football, and we're not even going to go into a deep dive about that because that has millions of problems on its own. But
Yeah.
there's very little protection from officials in Scotland, certainly, and you could even go into the fact that, like, how is there still artificial pitches in this league as well? How many long-term injuries has Rangers suffered due to people playing on that pitch? I mean, I'm sure Cortes, was it not Kilmarnock away last season? That was his last game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Jamie Murphy, I think he was out for over a year after an injury at Kilmarnock. There's just so many problems in this league, so many issues. But officiating and lack of protection is certainly one of them.
And it can be seen, Ian, as sour grapes or whatever. But
Yeah,
I mean this for every single club: Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, whoever.
Yeah.
The referees are a danger to our players.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Clancy was. I mean, he just.
Do
you know, it's harder to. It's actually hard to remember when you've actually had a good ref at your game these days, because I can't remember when was the last time that a ref we can actually say, yeah, he did well and got it all right. In recent memory, I can't actually pick the game out, because despite us being a mile ahead and winning quite convincingly and comfortable in the end, albeit the last 2 goals came a bit later on against Aberdeen, Kevin Clancy was poor. He was poor, and Kevin Clancy is a serial offender when it comes to now. I've got to say I don't watch Kevin Clancy in other games, but I hear similar things from, and I watch the the SPFL highlights. And you think, oh Christ, how's he arrived at that decision? But so there is a bit of that, but that again, that's a reflection on the league, a reflection on where we are as a football nation. I think a little bit as well. Our officials part-time, I believe, Martin, aren't they? Yeah, part-time. So what do we expect? Again, what are we to expect if we've got part-time officials who have got to do their, I would imagine, full-time and fairly serious jobs that take up the majority of the week, and then expect to be absolutely on the money? We're not making it easy for ourselves. These guys should be full-time officials, because let's be honest, it's not the best wage, but it's not a crap wage either, is it? To be a full-time.
It's a very good. Is that £1,000 a game or something?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Do you know what I mean? So if we have to increase that a little bit to get the quality up, then that's what we do. So yeah, what are we laughing at now?
3 hairy-faced men and a cross-dresser. This pod.
Cross-dresser. Hold on. The Panto boy's the cross-dresser, is he not, AJ?
I'm keeping quiet. Oh no, I'm not.
He's getting quiet
before Martin cracks. No, it's
hey, well, I'll not be wearing this again.
I know your missus is going to do you for wearing her tap. That's what she's going to go after that. It's going to be raging.
But is it not?
Sorry, AJ, on you go.
It's kind of been a thing with the Scotland game, and we kind of push it as a positive that it's a bit of a hard man's game compared to your English leagues, and this is probably why we end up getting this position where we let these kind of things go and these tackles, and this is why players end up coming up to this league doing well in the English Championship, doing well in foreign leagues, and come up here and they can't hack it away. But it's been made to be a positive for the Scottish game for years. It's a bit more a hard man's game. Can we let these get away with these challenges? It needs to change, and there needs to be protection for players.
But you say that, AJ, right? And the referees are shocking, right?
Yeah.
But do we also have to have a look at some of the players in the league as well? Who, all right, they continuously get away with it. I mean, remember when Cortes was here? He was a danger to other players as well. So yeah, a lot of the blame has to go on the refs, but do some of the players need to take a look at themselves and all?
Absolutely. No, I would agree on that, yeah. I mean, and Porteous was praised for it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was made out to be a great thing. And well, you've seen how he got on at Euros when he tried that.
Exactly. You then step up a level and you go, oh, well, that's you're gone.
And you see why these guys maybe not, and there's a lot of talk about him ended up back in this league. So
yeah,
I don't keep up. I go keep tabs on him, so it doesn't seem to be going well. But even
the
rest,
what is he Watford? How is he doing down there?
No, the last I heard, he was linked by a couple of clubs back here. So
right, okay, so not too.
But then even the refs aren't making it down there. What Scottish refs do you seeing these major competitions now? We
None.
used to have them. We certainly used to have them. So it's our referees must be getting laughed at. They
In
have
fact,
to
the
be.
last one I remember, did Bobby Madden not get a big European final at one point? Or he was in the World. He did a World Cup. He did a decent World Cup game. I think.
Did Hugh Dallas not get a Champions League final?
I think he might have. You
know, and he was hounded in this country.
Yeah.
And he was actually quite a decent referee. Right, let's move on for that chat. We've got 5 minutes left. It seems to be breaking all over the place, right? I'm going to go to Lewis in the hope that he's heard of this guy before, right? Because not only is Lewis the youngest, but he's also the most knowledgeable when it comes to football outside Scotland, right? So, Combat Sports on Tour, a super chat. Thank you very much for the support. Leo's Rafael Fernandez. Oh, Lewis is shaking his head. This isn't going to go well. Leo's Rafael Fernandez just seen outside Ibrox and Sir Blue. Sky Sports Scotland on Twitter. Philip Clementside are closing in on a deal to sign defender Rafael Fernandez on loan from Leo. Lewis, please tell me you've at least heard the name.
I have not. Never ever heard of. Is it Rafael Fernandez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. While you look him up, Lewis, right, and get us a bit of background.
Yeah.
Ian, he's a central defender.
Yeah.
And that was the one position that we said we have to get.
Yeah. One, if not two. Truth be told, Martin, I would say with that. But what I've kind of I do know about him again, because I've go to Portugal quite a lot, and I'm quite interested in Portuguese football only because they've got such a small population and seem to have a conveyor belt of immense talent. So Portuguese football, I'm okay with. And this guy's from Sporting, if I remember correctly. He was a youth player at Sporting Lisbon, and then he went somewhere before he went to France. I've no idea where that was. But my point. Well, whilst Lewis familiarises himself with the guy, I would say my point with him is his age. I think he's 22. Mm-hmm. I think his age and where he plays and their player trading model, it seems to make sense. He ticks the boxes. So if there was a bit of truth in that, it would make a bit of sense. So there you go. How do you pronounce that from AJ? Aruka. Aruka. What's that?
Aroca.
Is that another Portuguese team or Spanish team? Is it
Portuguese?
Yeah.
So yeah. That makes sense to me. If he's what he is essentially he's a bit more experience than an Inciala, but he's of that mould, isn't he? Similar age, centre back, young athletic guy, and that's our player trading model. And I assume that our scouts have done their homework on him.
Well, it's only a loan. It's only, as far as I'm aware, it's only a loan.
Yeah. So it'd be a loan. I would imagine if we thought he was decent, a guy with little or no experience in the pro leagues. I think if he came in and covered and it was decent, I think the conversation then changes, doesn't it, Martin, at the end of the season, if we want to make it more of a permanent move. But who knows? Don't know enough about the guy. Hopefully, Lewis has just crammed some details into his head.
Well, before Lewis comes in, Tesses gave us the information that we all wanted. Apparently, he's injury prone.
Yay!
So, seen a comment saying that. Not sure how it is. But Lewis, regardless, it's a centre back, and the biggest thing we needed though was a centre back who can come in and start every week, because of the injuries that we have, and Proper's maybe not showing us what some people thought he might have at the start of the season. I don't know who those people are, right? But this guy needs to be a guy who can come in and actually start right away.
Aye, it definitely does. I mean, I'm just glad that we've finally got a realistic link for that position, because it's absolutely necessary. I mean, if Inciala was as far away from being ready as a lot of people thought, we would be in serious trouble this year. Mm-hmm. So him having a bit more ability than people first imagined, and then bringing in this boy as well, I mean, it can only be a good thing so long that he stays fit. But In terms of a permanent deal, if that was to happen, if he does come in and perform, it's another one of them again. It can be at Oscar Cortes because he's played like 18 games in his career. I think he had like a half a season at in the Primera Division in Portugal, and then Lille have obviously picked him up. So he's certainly talented because Lille are a famed youth academy. They have got like a lot of high-level products over the years, so he's obviously talented, but we'll see how he is in terms of being able to play. I mean, like I said, it goes one or two ways. It goes Oscar Cortes or it goes Malik Tillman. Like, you can get one or the other, and we'll see what happens, but it's a centre-back, so happy days.
And it looks like Martin and Lewis and AJ, it looks like Leo want him to get some games, clearly, because they must rate him and think, well, he's not going to make a first team, but this boy should be playing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that then, AJ? Because we have just had a discussion there for basically the best part of the full podcast, saying about players coming in who haven't played much coming into the Scottish League. Can they hack it? Can they not hack it? So we're bringing in a boy on loan. I hope he comes in and he does outstanding. And if he does outstanding, we can maybe pick him up at the end of the season, or he just helps us improve away from home. But we're bringing in a boy who Lewis has just said that he's played 18 games.
Yeah,
do we not want a centre-back to come in, AJ, who's, I don't know, 24, 25, get a good 100 games under his belt, strong, physical, knows what he's doing?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been looking for an experienced centre-back, English Championship or something. The way to bring in this guy, I must admit, I've never really heard of him. A quick look shows that Leo picked him up last year and he's not played. He's sat on the bench once. But we've sent a scout somewhere to watch a development game, and somebody's went, oh, he's the man. But isn't that what we did with Inzola? And we never really gave him a chance because he wasn't ready. Are we sure this guy is ready? Yeah. Someone's decided he looks like good enough, but again, it comes down to, I mean, I don't know why you can't give Leon King a chance if you get to use something like this. They give one of our young centre-backs a chance. I would have been looking for certainly someone with a bit of experience, a league football, to come in.
Sorry, AJ. The only hope, Ian, is that he comes in and he just hits the ground running. And
listen,
but 18 games, Ian. 18 games.
Yeah, it's not much for a 22-year-old. It's not much, but listen. Let's look on the positive side. Lille obviously thought enough of the boy to pay £2.5 million for him. So, from the Portuguese side, name that we can't pronounce, but he's just he's set. Look, I think the remit from Rangers to the scouting system would be, look, don't get as a kid, but get as someone whose potential that is rated is somewhere at a club that just can't get into the first team. And that AJ's talking about getting ourselves a more experienced championship players. Well, the reality of that is, guys, and tell me if I'm wrong, we can't afford experienced championship defenders, centre halves. We just can't. They're out of our price bracket. They really are. That's the harsh reality. The reality that is for Rangers is this is the field that we play on now. We go and pick up guys that have shown promise and on loan deals. You know, this is where we are. Championship, experienced championship centre backs are still on upwards of 20 grand a week. So that's beyond us. That's beyond us. So I understand why we've arrived at this guy, and it's a risk. But this is we deal in risks now. That's where it is with Rangers.
Yeah, it's
just need one of these risks to pay off eventually.
And you know what? They will. And that's when we were talking about the youth team, AJ. So all of these youth players that showed promise that have come, they can't all be rubbish, right? And that's the point. If you get Bailey Rice, Robbie Fraser, Leon King, Cole McKinnon, Adam Devine, Alex Lowry, all these guys. Now, some of them have had a chance, like Ross McCausland and Alex Lowry. Some would argue Alex Lowry didn't get the chance he deserved, but I think he did and probably wasn't up for it. But the point being is, these guys, if we cannot, with the league gone, if we cannot bring in these so-called promising players now and get a few of them to play alongside experienced pros, if we can't do it now when the league is gone And the Rangers board are telling us about how we have to get in young Scottish players and we have to rebuild the team. And the model that Rangers have got is about bringing in young players. If we can't play these guys now, we'll never be able to play them.
Mm-hmm. I fear we're going to kick ourselves in the foot one day soon. And one of these players that we don't play, we're going to see him down south.
So you're right, AJ. Are you telling me that Alex Lowry, Robbie Fraser, Leon King, you tell me these guys aren't going to be pro footballers? Of course they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so Fraser's just scored.
Yeah.
I know it's the low level, but he's first game, first goal for Livingston. You know.
But these guys are going to turn up somewhere. Yeah. So
yeah, they will.
Us preparing in the B team clearly hasn't worked. Sam, I'm a big proponent. If we're not going to play in a better league for the B team, get them out on loan. Get them out on loan.
That's
another problem that I've just realised. You mentioned Robbie Fraser there.
Yeah.
Why the hell is a guy like Robbie Fraser, who, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's 21 now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Should he not be only loaned out to SPL teams now?
Yeah.
Is he not past that level? If you look at some of the success stories from Celtic, right, in recent years, I think the one that comes to mind is Christopher Ayer. He had a loan spell at Kilmarnock, and that was making him. That's what ignited his Celtic career. Surely Robbie Fraser at 21 is more capable than Championship, whether that's the team at the top of the Championship or the bottom. Surely he's capable at that age to go and play for an SPL team.
Yeah,
exactly.
I do believe though that his contract's up at the. I might be wrong. It might be somebody else, but I'm sure it's him. Contract's up at the end of the season, and he'll be leaving.
You're right.
Anyway.
It is him. Yeah.
So Rangers have just went. We'll find you a loan, and then after that, you can go where you go, as is what Rangers does. Listen, guys, that will do us for tonight. We are back tomorrow live at 11 a.m. for channel members with the random rabble, and then we're back on Sunday with your live commentary of the game for members, and then of course we've got reaction as well. If you haven't already, please do like, share, and subscribe. She/her.
Brilliant.
Please do like and subscribe, and make sure you follow us across all social media channels. Check out the Rabble merch page, Rabble Island, the link for which is in the description. You can get loads and loads of stuff there. And if Donald likes you and you're looking for something particular, he might help you out. Martin, Ian, Lewis, and AJ, thank you for your time on the pod. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. These pods just boom and they're done. They fly in. They absolutely fly in. So Ian, AJ, Lewis, thank you very much. Go and enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Everybody watching, I hope that you tune in to myself and Lewis's show at 9 p.m. if you remember. Where we do a wee breakdown, a wee deep dive into Manchester United. So I'll stop rabbling now. You can all go and enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Thank you for tuning in, folks, and we'll speak soon.